The officer stood on a desolate highway under a starry night sky illuminated only by the headlights of a police car. The engine's steady hum mixed with the chill of the wind blowing through the trees that lined the road. As Rachel Carter delicately adjusted the radio on her dashboard, she let out a little breath. The nighttime patrol had been unusually peaceful, with no passing vehicles or calls. However, she was aware that sometimes the stillness might be as more disturbing than the commotion. Suddenly, a shadowy figure sprang onto the road. Rachel slammed on the brakes in an instant, causing the tires to screech and the car to jerk forward as it struggled to come to a sudden stop. Her heart raced as she tightly gripped the wheel, her breath quickening. She looked ahead and saw a German shepherd standing in the middle of the road, its thick fur fluffed by the wind. The dog didn't flinch, didn't run away, just stood there. Rachel scowled as she drew back the doorknob and stepped out, her hand firmly clutching her flashlight, while Amber's eyes gleamed in the beam of light. "What are you doing out here, buddy?" she asked, keeping her voice calm, but staying a safe distance away. The dog barked once, then took a few steps back, but didn't run away. Instead it looked at her, then turned and started trotting off, pausing, as if waiting for her to follow. Rachel blinked, a strange feeling creeping into her gut. This wasn't just some lost dog, it had a purpose, a reason for being here, and if it was trying to get the attention of a police officer, then something had to be seriously wrong. Without a second thought, Rachel grabbed her flashlight, shut the car door, and followed her mysterious guide into the night. Rachel's boots crunched over dry leaves, the sound sharp against the eerie stillness of the forest. Her flashlight beam cut through the darkness, casting shifting shadows across the uneven ground ahead of her. The German shepherd Titan, as she had now decided to call him, moved with unwavering purpose despite the dense night sky and the tangled branches above. He never hesitated, never looked back. Titan halted in his tracks as Rachel accelerated, clinging precariously to the forest floor's perilous roots that protruded like nature's trip wires and gnawed at her jacket. Rachel ceased the thumping of her heartbeat. A faint, quivering whine resounded from up ahead, and Titan's body tensed up like a coiled spring as he listened. Rachel's breath caught in her throat as she swung her flashlight toward the source of the noise. Just a few yards away, a young girl sat huddled beneath a fallen tree. Her tiny frame was wrapped in a thin, dirt-streaked jacket, arms curled around her knees, as if trying to make herself as small as possible against the biting cold. Titan barked sharply and bolted toward her, his tail wagging frantically. The girl's head jerked up, her wide, terrified eyes locking onto the familiar figure before her. For a split second, she froze, almost as if she couldn't believe it was real. Then, like a dam bursting, her face crumpled, and she let out a sob so raw, so full of relief, that it sent a shiver down Rachel's spine. T-Man, her scream was part joy, part desperation. She stumbled forward, collapsing into the dog's thick fur, clutching him, as though letting go would mean losing him all over again. Her little frame trembled with unrestrained sobbing. She seemed frightened that he could vanish as she entangled her fingers in his coat. Rachel hurried forward, lowering herself to her knees beside them, and gently inquired, "Are you okay?" before asking, "My name is Rachel." She hadn't realized she was carrying anything until now. Her breaths came in gasps interspersed with sobs as the girl clung tenaciously to Titan. "Emma here. I was unable to locate my father after he was injured." She put a comforting hand on Emma's shoulder and said in a gentle but firm voice, "You're safe now, I promise. We're going to find your dad, okay?" Rachel's gaze shifted to Titan, who she suspected was not only guiding her to Emma but was also attempting to rescue the girl's father. With a steady nod, Emma maintained her hold on Titan. The German shepherd, faithful and unwavering, snuggled protectively around her, as if quietly promising she would never let her go lost again. Rachel looked down at the tiny child who was still holding on to Titan, her little fingers firmly grasping the dog's thick fur, as if she was afraid of being lost again if she let go. As gently as Emma could manage, a sharp pang slammed into Rachel's chest. "Would you be so kind as to explain what happened?" Emma, her voice quivering, buried her face in Titan's fur once more. "My dad is still out there, and he needs our help. We were hiking in the woods when it got dark so quickly, and my dad fell. He warned me not to follow, but Titan shoved me away. I had no idea how to get back." Despite her natural apprehension, Rachel reached for the radio strapped to her shoulder. Carter, I am on the outskirts of Highway 17, and I have located a missing child named Emma Brooks. She is about 10 years old. We are now searching for her father, who may be injured somewhere in the woods. I am requesting immediate backup. After a brief period of static, the dispatcher's voice echoed through the copy, informing that the Carter rescue team is on their way. Be careful. Rachel glanced over at Emma, who was wiping away tears from her face, and said, "The rescue team is on their way. Do you remember which way your dad went?" Emma shook her head, her small shoulders quivering, and said, "I don't remember." Just as Rachel was about to reassure her, Titan barked loudly and took off in a specific direction, sniffing the ground with determination. Will you join Titan in his quest to locate your father? He already has a plan. Without missing a beat, Emma gave a firm nod, her small hands still clinging to her faithful friend's thick fur. Following Titan's example, Rachel turned her flashlight on full brightness and dashed into the darkness, taking a long breath to calm herself as they pushed farther into the forest, where towering, thick trees loomed. Darkness consuming every inch of the earth. Titan went fast ahead, his ears straight, his body tense with vigilance. He wasn't just leading the way, he was defending them. The wind howled through the branches, bringing frightening whispers that made the night feel even more menacing. Rachel tightened her grasp on Emma's shoulder, sensing the girl's mounting terror. "Do you think we're close?" she said gently. Emma gripped Rachel's jacket, her little fingers quivering. "I believe so, but I'm terrified. What if my dad?" Her voice cracked with tears. Rachel knelt down by her side, her voice both strong and kind. "We will locate him," she said with tears in her eyes. "Hi." Emma witnessed Titan's unwavering resolve. "He is fully aware of. He intends to." Swiftly wiping her eyes, Emma turned to face Titan, who continued onward with unfaltering self-assurance. His strength had transformed into her own, and then Titan stopped. Instinctively, Rachel's fist clenched around her flashlight, while Titan cocked his head, his ears strained forward as he listened, and he let out a weak, tortured sigh. A man lay twisted on the forest floor, his clothes strewn and torn, half buried under dry leaves, one leg pinned beneath a massive rock, and his face pale as death. For a terrifying moment, there was nothing, no sound, and Rachel's pulse spiked as she swung her flashlight toward the sound. Eventually, she saw him just beyond the steep, jagged slope. The sound of Emma's piercing scream broke the stillness. Her body sprang forward in a frantic attempt to escape, but Rachel managed to snag her in the nick of time. Rachel's pulse was racing as she spoke with a strong voice. Titan wasted no time rushing down the hill, barely avoiding the fallen debris as he pressed his nose to the man's chest and let out a squeal of delight. "Officer Carter." Rachel seized her radio and called out in a panic. "I have found the misplaced individual. He is in critical condition with a broken leg and is pleading for swift rescue. Officer Carter's rescue squad is about 5 minutes away," according to the dispatcher's swift copy. The man's pale face, chapped lips, and feeble breathing were illuminated by Rachel's spotlight as she drew nearer. Titan, his eyes flickering open, whimpered as he nudged his owner's shoulder. "Daniel Brooks," as Rachel yelled out, and he said, "Titan, you saved me," with his gaze narrowed and his lips slightly parted. With a sigh of relief, Rachel turned to Emma, who she held tightly in her little hand, and told her, "Your dad's going to be okay. We had to act fast. Stay strong, for help is on the way." Swiftly nodding, Emma kept her eyes fixed on her father. Refusing to budge until he knew his owner was okay, Titan cuddled up close to Daniel. Rachel evaluated the scenario. She looked up, her expression becoming more determined as she said, "We're going to get him out of here." The boulder was too large to lift on their own, but if the rescue crew arrived quickly, they could remove him without injuring him any further. Even though he was exhausted, Daniel remained focused on the task at hand, bringing his daughter Rachel home to see him. Rachel knelt next to him, her trained eyes swiftly evaluating his condition. Titan, the dog, was curled up against him, and the dog was letting out soft, worried whimpers. "We're going to get you out of here," he said. Rachel put 2 fingers on his wrist to make him feel better, His pulse was faint but constant. With her small hands tightly gripping his icy fingers, Emma remained at her father's side. "My love," as she spoke, her voice quivered as tears streamed down her cheeks. In spite of the obvious suffering, Daniel forced himself to grin and said, "I'm okay, honey. I'm okay." Urgent sounds of rescue trucks and frantic footfall reverberated through the forest while Titan steadfastly refused to go, placing his snout on his owner's chest as if offering him strength. With a sigh of relief, Rachel waved toward the paramedics and rescue personnel who had come racing over with stretchers, medical supplies, and equipment to lift heavy rocks. As soon as they saw Daniel, one of the paramedics knelt down next to him and began to assess the situation. Rachel said that Daniel had been trapped for about a day and that he was severely dehydrated, but that he was conscious. The rescuers worked quickly, with two of them positioning hydraulic levers. As one person began to deliver fluids and check Daniel's vitals, another began to work behind the rock. "We will transfer you carefully," Emma said, her eyes wide as she gripped her father's hand. As the rescuers moved Daniel, Titan let out a low warning growl, his tail tucked tightly, and every muscle in his body tensed. His amber eyes darted between the medics and his owner. Rachel reached out and gently rested a hand on his F. Titan remained tense till the rock eventually moved, but "It's all right, my friend. They're assisting him." As soon as Daniel was freed from the stretcher, the rescuers delicately moved his damaged leg into place. Titan, whose ears drooped, let a low moan and buried his head in Daniel's breast, feeling an overwhelming sense of relief. With trembling gasps, Emma threw herself into his embrace and cried out, "Daddy, we're going home now." A sense of calm contentment washed over Daniel as he reached up and gently stroked her matted hair. "Yes, darling, we're going home," he said, his tail bobbing with renewed energy. Rachel savored the moment, feeling a warmth radiate through her breast. She knelt down and gave Titan a solid but compassionate squeeze, realizing that the dog hadn't just rescued his owner, but a whole family. "Hey, Pat, great job." With his amber eyes fixed on hers, Titan looked up at her as if to say, "My mission is over." Rachel felt the warmth of a reunion that had nearly never occurred as she watched as the rescue crew carried Daniel toward the waiting ambulance. Emma, meanwhile, hugged Titan fiercely, refusing to let go. The night air was still chilly, but Rachel felt something else entirely. Rachel arrived at a charming little house on the outskirts of town a week later. The sunshine streamed through the open windows, casting a warm glow on the small potted flowers lining the porch. With a gentle knock, the door swung open, and Emma emerged, her face even brighter than on that fateful night. The young woman sprang forward, encircling Rachel in a bare embrace. "You look so much better, baby," Rachel said while embracing her. With a brace on his damaged leg, Daniel leaned slightly against the doorframe as he entered the room, but he appeared to be in better health than the officer. "I don't know how to thank you," Carter stated with an expression of profound appreciation in his voice. "Thank you," Rachel grinned. "True heroism belongs to Titan." Titan sprung into action the moment Rachel's name was mentioned. His eyes widened in delight as he spotted Rachel, and he wagging his tail wildly as he hurried up to greet her. Kneeling down, Rachel ran her hand over his thick fur, saying, "Good boy." Emma embraced Titan tightly, burying her face in his fur. "I will never let him out of my sight again," she said. With an expression of profound appreciation, Daniel met the eyes of his faithful friend. "Titan remained by my side even after I believed my life was over that fateful night in the woods." As Rachel took in the image, a warm sensation went up her spine. Titan had accomplished his purpose, but his love and devotion would last forever. The porch rustled with the sound of the wind, but this time nobody felt the chill. They were at home.